Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Salahuddin al-Britani, and this is my story of how I became a Muslim. So I grew up in Clifton, which is in Nottingham. It's Clifton Estate, so there's a lot of like rough areas, quite rough. And my family, they are white British, and we kind of grew up with no religion at all. So obviously the area, it was like, they had a lot of different areas where you'd have gangs, you know, people you didn't want to mess with. You also had, you know, like parks and everything that you just used to hang about with friends. Used to go to an area called Flower Park, where we'd make a swing from branches and rope and stuff like that. And we just used to try and have as much fun outside, you know, instead of being inside all the time. So I went to Milford Primary School, which is in Clifton, and within the school there was, population was mainly white British. There wasn't really much mixed race or different races there, and you know, as a child, you know, I was kind of getting into a bit of mischief here and there. You know, I was you know, quite naughty at school. I did a lot of bad stuff at school, so I was getting in trouble a lot with teachers and such. When I started secondary school in East Leek, which is near Loughborough, I started to get into a different, in with a different group of people. So we do, you know, it was a bit more different from primary school. We would do a bit more mischief still. There was friends that would take drugs sometimes, you know. They just hang about, drink alcohol, underage drinking, stuff like that. At school, I would say I probably didn't study as much as what I should have. You know, it was more enjoyment rather than studying or trying to achieve anything. It was more messing about, forgetting about studies, forgetting about homework, forgetting about listening to teachers. Just do whatever I want, basically, and if teachers had a problem, then that would be where I would have an attitude problem as well. So I didn't really get much out of school as what I should have done. There wasn't really anything that I wanted to be. I didn't even know what I wanted to do, and I still, you know, when I left school, I still didn't know what I wanted to do career-wise. Although someone did say to me, you know, talking to me about the army, maybe joining up in the army and stuff like that. And at the time I was kind of like, okay, I like this country, I'm a bit patriotic, I like, you know, this country, so I might pursue that, I might go along with that. When I left secondary school, I went to college. I did 3 years in college. I did a level 2 art and design, which was 1 year. And then I did a level 3 art and design course after that, which was 2 years. What I would do in my social time when I was at college, during college, was I had a lot of friends that would just drink alcohol. Sometimes at college there was one friend that I had, and he would be drinking before he came into college and then drinking in the break time and stuff like that. Obviously I was mixing with them. And what I used to do normally was wake up really late, get to college late, bunk off sometimes in the afternoon, go home, play on my Xbox 360 and just chill. And that was really what I did on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, when I was in the college period, there wasn't really, like, I kind of enjoyed my life. I was happy with what I was doing, but there was always a void or something. I kind of, like, I had really, you know, I had a big anger issue. I was shouting. If someone started on me, then that would be it. I wouldn't even think about what I'm saying, I would just say it. Whatever can hurt their feelings, I would do that. Life didn't really have any reason for existence. There was no purpose to it. So I decided, you know, I was just living my life. I was just, every day was a new day, try and get as much out of it as possible, try and enjoy it as possible. You know, weekends come, and socialize with friends, maybe, I don't know, drink sometimes, go out drinking, and stuff like that really. But as of, you know, throughout that period, there wasn't really anything that it was almost as if I'm missing something in my life. So obviously the people that I was mixing with, they had like, obviously we had, you know, some disagreements on certain things. If there was an argument, then, you know, with big fallout, stuff like this. But I think the company that I was in, they was always dragging me down. Like, you know, there wasn't like a friend. You know, a friend is someone who will be with you no matter what you go through. They're always there. I don't think my friends were those kind of people. I think they were more, oh, if he goes through hardship, then we leg it and we leave him to deal with that. And I think that's where I kind of started to get this feeling that, oh, they're not really my friends. They don't, you know, what do I do? You know, and not having a job, not having any ambition, you know, not knowing what I want to do in life. And I just thought to myself, there's no point in my existence. There's no point in me carrying on, really. Relationship with the parents was, if they asked me to do something and I didn't want to do it, I would tell them to go do one, or do it yourself. I'm not interested. I'm not going to do it. I'm not your slave. I don't do what you want me to do. And I had a real bad attitude towards my parents, especially my mum. You know, I'd always swear at her. She would swear back at me, would have a massive argument, you know, and sometimes I would come along afterwards, apologize, and then the next day it would be the same scenario. There'd be a disagreement with something, and, you know, we would just have an argument continuously. So my relationship with my parents was kind of bad. It was really, you know, I had a lot of disrespect towards my parents. Kind of did affect my parents, the relationship that we had. You know, my mum sometimes would say, I don't know what we can do, like, maybe you should, like, sometimes she'd say, I want you out of the house. After we've had an argument, I'd go out of the house, I'd go for a walk, clear my head, come back, try and discuss it, try and say, look, I'm sorry, I don't mean what I say, you know, I shouldn't be saying this kind of stuff. And obviously my mum would be the same. She was like, you know, I'm sorry as well. Let's try and build on this relationship. Let's try and, you know, you're my son and everything. So we tried to do that, but every single day was the same. There would always be something even, it could be the smallest of things which would make a huge argument between us. I think my anger came from the fact that I had nothing going for me. I had no ambition, I had no goal. I didn't have anything that I could really see myself as. I didn't see myself as successful or anything decent. I didn't see myself being successful in life. I didn't see myself getting a job, or a good job at least. I didn't see myself doing anything good in the society. I think there was just a huge void in my life where, you know, the only thing you can do is wake up every morning and do your usual routine of being lazy, don't do anything, play on the PlayStation or Xbox or whatever you want to play, and you know, that was the life that I lived. You know, Facebook, go on Facebook, talk to people over Facebook, try and meet up to go out, play football and stuff like this. But that was it. There was nothing else. There was nothing exciting in my life, really. So throughout my childhood, I've always had a belief in God, always had a belief in a creator. And because of these anger issues, these anger problems, and not having a solution, not having a way out, I thought to myself, I believe in a creator. I believe he's created me. He's created everything. What does this creator want from me? Is he someone who is putting me in this state of depression almost to, I don't know, try and have some pleasure out of it? Or, you know, am I doing things wrong? So I started thinking about maybe becoming a religious person, because I already have the belief of God inside of me. I need to try and get on a straight path. I need to do something with my life. I need to, you know, wake up and do something. So I started, obviously, reading the Bible, because the area that I'm from, the majority of the people, they're not religious, but if they have any religion at all, it will be Christianity. So I read the Old Testament and the New Testament, and I found that both books contradict one another. And I don't know, I kind of saw myself as saying, well, if God has a religion or God has a way or a system for people, then it can't be something which is corrupted or something which doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. So I then, after reading the Old Testament and the New Testament, I made a decision that, look, Christianity isn't for me. I don't think it's right. I don't think Jesus being the Son of God or God himself is something which is feasible or something which you can believe. Then I started looking into Judaism, and I found a lot of things which were very interesting, and it came with the Old Testament. A lot of the things in the Old Testament match with the Jewish laws, and I was thinking to myself, well, this is kind of taking me somewhere. So I'm going to investigate, I'm going to look. I looked more into Judaism, and then I kind of, I don't know, I fell in love with like the practices, like how strict they are, what they do in their lives. You know, their lives are dedicated to God. So I started looking into it. I started practicing myself. I started trying to do as much as possible, like from the Jewish scriptures, trying to live a kosher lifestyle. And then I went to a synagogue to speak with a rabbi about Judaism, maybe convert. And then I had like a discussion with him, with the rabbi, and you know, it seemed like he was trying to put me off, like this religion's not for you. I don't think, you know, even if you were to convert, you won't be seen as a real Jew because you're not born into the Jewish faith. You know, all these things, and even said to me that, you know, you can't be a Jew or you can't convert to Judaism if you don't learn the Hebrew language fluently. I was like, well, what about if I die in this state whilst I'm trying to learn? You know, what's going to happen? Because I always had in my mind that if I die, I'm going to die in a way which is not pleasing to the one that made me. So what do? And then after that, I was still persistent. I let my guard down a bit with practicing it. Like I kind of fell off it a bit, but I still had that belief that I wanted to become a Jew. And because in Nottingham there's only like, I don't know, 1 or 2 synagogues, one which is Orthodox and the other which is not that practicing, or they bit more moderate sort of thing. So I don't know, I kind of like I'm kind of like shocked that he's saying this to me. You know, he's trying to put me off the religion of God. I'm like, how can you be religious? How can you be someone who has good, or believe you have the correct way, but you don't want to correct others? So obviously I just typed in on Google randomly, where's the fastest growing religion in the world? It came up with Islam. And at this point I'm saying to myself, why is Islam the fastest growing religion? All these Muslims, you hear it in the media, you hear it in the newspapers, you hear it on the TV, Muslims killing non-Muslims because they believe that that they should be taking over the world, they need to have their system in place. They're really disrespectful towards Britain and British people, and obviously being kind of patriotic. I was like, I didn't want to know about Islam. I didn't want to even think about going down that route. But and also I remember myself saying that I will never become a Muslim. Even on this journey of becoming a religious person, I said I'd never become a Muslim. And you know, it was really, it was something, I don't know. I kept on hearing about Islam, the fastest growing religion in the world. And I met a Muslim at college, and he's not a practicing Muslim, or his family are Muslim, but I'd ask him, you know, I hear all this negativity about your religion. I hear Islam does this, Islam does that, you know, blowing up people, killing people, all this kind of thing. I says, you're so nice to me, talk to me about Islam. Tell me what Islam is. Obviously, he told me that Islam is very misunderstood. It's a religion which is very misunderstood. The media doesn't have the correct image about Islam. They don't know anything about Islam. And he says, why don't you read the Quran in English? He says, get a copy of the Quran wherever you can and read it. So I started looking on Google, reading ayat of the Quran, and mainly scientific miracles of the Quran, you know, where Allah is talking about the creation of a baby inside the woman's womb, stuff like this. And I was just thinking to myself, this is incredible. This is something which it goes with modern day science that we have today. And if you think about it, a book that's 1,400 years old, and you don't even have all this technology, but you have a man called Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he's talking about all these things. You know, he was someone who was an Arab living in the desert. He had no education, he had no knowledge of any world scriptures or anything like this. He had no knowledge about hardly anything. And he's coming out with verses from the Quran like this and saying this is revelation from God. So you either have to say to yourself, this guy, Muhammad, he is either someone who, you know, he's lucky, he's making a good guess with what he's saying, or he's a prophet of God like he claimed to be. And, you know, obviously I went down that route of looking into the biography of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, reading about who he was, what his character was, what he did in his lifetime. So obviously I after reading that, I wanted to become a Muslim. And I said to myself that this is something which I know I'm going to get hassle for, but if it's the truth, I have to accept it. And not only that, but it will give me a reason for existence, because Allah says in the Quran that He has created man and jinn except to worship Him. We are here on this earth to worship the one that created us. And that was my natural fitrah telling me that this is a book from God, that the Prophet ﷺ is correct in his message, and there's been no alter, there's been no change to the religion at all. So this religion, Islam, was the only religion which fitted the natural fitrah that every human being has been born with. As soon as I did my research, I think it was about 2 days research, just literally looking on websites and stuff like this, I went downstairs, told my mum, oh, I want to become a Muslim. And then again, like I said, petty arguments started. Oh, they're going to make you a terrorist, they're going to brainwash you, they're going to send you off to, I don't know, Middle Eastern countries to do some bad to this world and do some corruption, kill people, blow up people. She says, I don't want that for you. So obviously it broke out into an argument again. There was more shouting, there was more screaming. I went off on one, she went off on one. And, you know, we both cooled down. My dad said, look, let's just hear him out. Let's speak to him. Let's talk to him. Let's sit down as a family, discuss this matter rather than, you know, just shouting and screaming at each other, because it would never get anywhere. So my dad was kind of cool with it. He was, you know, he wasn't happy with it, but nevertheless, he wasn't as disappointed as my mum was. So we sat down, we discussed, you know, we talked to each other. And I said to them, look, whether you accept it or not, and I was kind of harsh. I was kind of harsh on my mum. Even though we were talking, we was discussing, I said, look, whether you accept it or not, you can do whatever you want, you can chuck me out, you can do whatever you want, but I'm going to become a Muslim because I believe it's the truth. I am telling you, I think it's the truth, I know it's the truth. So she said, that's fine, you become a Muslim, we'll support you, we'll do what we can. But she said, don't go down that route of having these views of, you know, blowing up yourself and this, that. I says, come on, you know me, you know who I am. You know, why do you think I'd do something like this? So we had that discussion, you know, we made up, you know, I apologized to her for getting angry, she apologized back. And the Saturday, I think that was on a Friday. So on the Saturday, I went into town. I found a local masjid, the Islamic Center, and I went and asked to take my shahada with one of the brothers that I found in the masjid. He was just sat there reading Quran, and I asked him, I'd like to become a Muslim. So obviously he got the Imam. There was a few other brothers, mashallah, all Pakistani, and they was all around me in a circle, and I was kind of nervous. It was kind of like, should I be here? Should I not be here? Should I go? You know. But alhamdulillah, he sat down with me. He made me feel comfortable. He discussed the conditions of the Shahada, what we have to believe in order to be a Muslim. And then, alhamdulillah, I accepted that and I took my Shahada that day. Since Islam, since I took my Shahada, it's been a bumpy ride. There's been hardship. There's been, you know, a lot of trouble when I first became Muslim. All my friends, or the majority of my friends, they gave up on me. They didn't want to know me. When I said, look, I'm a Muslim, they kind of gave up on me. They wouldn't speak to me for a long time. And I think it was about 9 months that they wouldn't talk to me. And within that time, I found a group of brothers that go to the Nottingham City Centre who give dawah on a regular basis. And I said, look, I need someone to teach me the deen. I need someone to teach me about Islam. Can you guys help me? Can you do something for me? So they said, yeah, sure. They gave me a leaflet, they gave me a DVD on how to pray and how to make wudu, ghusl, all these kind of things. They said, come to our weekly classes, you know, you're always welcome. They said, your problems are our problems, we can look after you. So I started going to them, started learning the deen, I started practicing the deen. And when my friends started to talk to me again, then it was the dawah was coming out, and I was speaking to them about Islam. So whatever conversations we had before, whether it be about football, whether it be about gaming or girls or alcohol or whatever it may be, all of that was gone. And I was speaking to them about Islam, about the beauties of Islam, what Islam has to offer a human being. And they kind of got fed up with it, because when I was given the dawah, it was like, it's my way or the highway. If you don't want to know, I'm not going to talk to you about irrelevant things or things which have no purpose. I'm going to talk to you about Islam. If you don't want to know, that's fine. We don't need to see each other. We don't need to meet up with each other. I'm a Muslim now. So I was kind of harsh with them. So they stopped speaking to me again. And then it was more time to learn, to go into different subjects, learn about Tawheed, etc., learn about the basics of the deen. And then a few of them started talking to me again. One of them added me on Facebook, and then I was even stronger in my deen. I was stronger than what I was before. Being as a Muslim, a lot of the habits that I've had have gone. You know, I don't womanize anymore. I don't drink alcohol. I'm careful about what I eat. Everything has to be halal. I make sure that I pray on time. I make sure I do every bit of action that is needed in order to have the prayers accepted by Allah. So making sure that the wudu is on point. The ghusl, if you need to make ghusl, make sure that's done correctly. And just studying about Islam in general, and just trying to be the person that I am, but without the bad habits of swearing, etc., and stuff like this. So my advice for someone who's non-Muslim, who may be thinking about Islam or is just thinking about religion in general, is basically read the Quran for yourself, and don't have any influence from any other people saying, well, this verse in the Quran means this, or this means this. Read it for yourself, make your own decision, make your own understanding of it. Because if you're someone who's looking for the truth, Allah will guide you to the truth. And if you're someone who's looking for a fault or something which you can tarnish Islam, then it's not going to, you're going to find that. Because whatever you're searching for, you're going to find. So if you're looking sincerely for the truth, alhamdulillah, start with the Quran in English or whatever language it is that you speak. And also, don't take your advice on what Islam is from the media or non-Muslims. Take your advice from the Muslims, the same as if you was ill and you had illnesses, or if you had any problems with your health, you'll go to a doctor and ask them. The same way you come to the Muslims to understand about Islam, and inshallah Allah will guide you to Islam. And I would also like to say Jazakallah khair for Roadside to Islam for the interview. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.